Welcome, everyone, to the first ever episode of the Chris Parrish Podcast. Welcome, welcome. I am your host, Chris Parrish, alongside with the voice, Joshua Joseph, a good friend. You may know him from his Twitch over at the voice, Joshua Joseph. You may know him from the In Your House series, but here's a better idea. You can get to know him right now, and you can just leave all your questions, all your replies in the comments. Well, we appreciate people being here. Josh, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on the first episode of the Chris Parrish podcast. I'm super
Yeah.
stoked, man.
Well, it's going to be just a little fun new experiment that I have coming up, and it's just going to be a lot of fun. As we'll just get to some of the comments. We got Chris Best coming in saying good afternoon, Mr. Parrish and JJ. We got Basser coming in saying, "Hey, my boys, Basser, love you. Hope you had a great time at the PPW show yesterday that I was made aware of this morning that you guys had one. So hopefully that was well. And JJ, you're a handsome devil."
Well, thank you, Basser. That's the nicest thing I've ever heard anybody on the internet say to me.
Well, but I just want to let everybody know the reality of the situation too. This is an individual project because I have left our local establishment. There has been changes made. This is a new project moving forward. So if you do want to support the channel, you can go and check out our Facebook or my Facebook, my Twitch, and my YouTube. We will have everything on the socials. I will put a banner down as well. You can go check out that Twitch at twitch.tv/the Chris Parrish. You can go check out my Facebook page there, just at Chris Parrish, and then also my YouTube, just at Chris Parrish, and then also nice little fun thing because you were asking me about it yesterday or a couple days ago, JJ.
Mm-hmm.
As of 4 a.m. today, you can see me on TikTok.
Oh, look
I have
at
no idea
that.
why I'm doing it. It was a 4 a.m. rash decision. But
Hey,
yes,
it's gonna get you views. I'm telling you right now,
if
man.
CM Punk can go back to WWE, Chris Parrish can go on TikTok.
Exactly. The
So,
change. That's
right?
where we're at.
Well, didn't Triple H always say evolution, you either adapt or perish? But
That's
I am
true.
Parrish, so I guess I only have to adapt.
Yeah, there's no other way for you. That's
I
your
only
only
have
option.
I only have one option, don't I?
You only have one
Oh,
option.
it kind of sucks, actually. I mean, it's fun, but it kind of sucks at the same time.
Yeah, but it'll
Um,
build you.
yeah. So if anybody wants to know what this podcast is going to be about, well, it's just going to be more or less either just me or me and someone else just having a good time, talking wrestling, talking whatever they're into. This is not just a wrestling podcast, but for a good part of this, of course, it's wrestling. A lot of
Yeah.
the reasons why we got into this is for a love of professional wrestling. So, yeah, it's going to be just that. But since that's the kind of the topic at bay, Josh, I want to ask, always the fun topic of how did we get into wrestling? How did we get into being a fan always
Mm.
comes up. What was your very first inclination that you enjoyed wrestling? What was your first memory of professional wrestling, and how did you get into it?
Well, honestly, my very first memories of getting into wrestling was as a child, small child. It was on. I seen these monsters on TV, wanted to be a part of them, pretended to be them, but to actually have like fandom and know that this was the type of entertainment that I really liked and I could connect with and I could watch over and over and over again. I would have to say uh, it it would have had to been my first sighting of a WCW Cactus Jack.
Okay.
Only because it was a Saturday night main event type thing. It was something that was passing by, but what drew me in was the fact that this this guy who looked the physique of my uncles, my dad at the time, the men I knew in my life, and they were coming out and people were cheering for them. So that's what kind of like got my attention. So I started like I went to school and I started asking people, "Hey, do you know about this? Do you know about that?" And then they would tell me, "Oh, well, you got to watch this." So I would go home and I would wait for Monday night, and then I seen my first Raw, and
Mhm.
McMahon's voice as a commentator. It it made me it made me excited for what I was watching, and it drew me in. And then I found out about Gorilla Monsoon, and then I started listening to him, and then I found out he was actually a wrestler. So then I
Yeah.
started watching some of his stuff. So ultimately, it was kind of just passing by that little things kind of excited me and kind of drew my attention as a kid. And then I became a huge fan of the Monday Night Wars. Hogan was always a favorite of mine as a child. Um, I ate my vitamins. I said my prayers. I did everything he suggested at that time. Um, I was a consumer of
Not so much anymore.
no, not so no,
Yeah. Okay.
not so much anymore. No, I mean I still respect what he did for the entertainment
Yeah.
that I love, but I mean I've grown past that. I've found different idols and like uh coming up. I mean the Iron Claw, the Von Erichs, I mean
Yeah.
the Hearts. The Heart Foundation was my first big big time love of a group of people, you know, in this entertainment. And then I transitioned into the Four Horsemen and all that
Mhm.
stuff. So that's basically where it was and where I found myself enjoying this form of entertainment.
Yeah. That's awesome. Like, so would you classify yourself more as a WCW fan growing up than like a
Oh
WWF?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 100%. The first hour was always my favorite. I mean, you had cruiserweights, you had guys that I could identify with: Jericho,
Yeah.
La Parka, Huvatu, Benoit, all those guys. And then, I mean, honestly, I through WCW, I would say I found way more um, wrestlers that I still watch today than
Yeah.
back with WWE, WWF at the time. I mean,
Okay.
I still follow Jericho. I just watched the
Yeah.
video of him in Vietnam going to an indie
Yeah.
show and the crowd losing their mind for him.
That was weird because I saw that too, and you can tell like it had like a dub version to
Yeah,
his
yeah.
theme song, but it wasn't bad at all. Like it
No,
was
it
really
wasn't.
good.
No, and that's what I loved. The reaction the crowd gave Jericho,
Yeah.
Chris Jericho, for that moment. I mean, and he walked the whole ringside. He walked it. I mean, he did. There
Mhm.
was some security there, but people respect him so much. It's like Tyson says when he was asked the question of oh, that one guy who retired a few years ago, saying he was the greatest. Floyd
Ali.
Mayweather.
Oh,
No,
Floyd.
Mayweather.
Yeah. No.
So he was asked, "What do you think about Mayweather saying he's the greatest? He's greater than Ali?" And Tyson said, "The guy can't even take his kids to school by himself. He needs security to do it." So that just shows you he's not the greatest because he's not respected by the fans enough that he can do his daily dad duties without
Yeah.
being mobbed. So you are not on the level of the greatest. And that's what I loved about seeing Jericho in that moment. He he took his own personal time to go and watch an indie show, and it wasn't even in the country where he's from, and he does a majority of his work. And that's I appreciate shit like that.
Yeah. He is from the good old country of Winnipeg, you idiot.
Yes, yes, he is.
Yes, I realize that's a Canadian saying that. It's ironic because yes, I'm aware of the joke that was, but yeah, no, I mean, I think one of the coolest things about what we saw with Jericho there is just how much he enjoyed it. Like you can even
Yeah,
tell by like, and I don't know if it's just uh whether it's a combination of everything I'm about to say or if it's one of the specifics or a couple, but just the point of his career that he is now getting to go to that getting to go to Vietnam, getting to do something small like that, whether it's him kind of going back to an indie show and kind of just reliving like what fun an independent pro wrestling show is, or if it's just a matter of, him being older and realizing, hey, yeah, this is part of, my, like, why I still love it. Like, this is why I did do my cruises, like, because you get to meet all these just passionate fans. But then also you have to look at, like, maybe that's even part of his job in AEW. It's like trying to go places and recruit. But at the end of the day, it's great to see, because you just don't know if you're gonna find the next star of tomorrow in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Like, you just don't. Like, I'll say this story till I'm blue in the face, but the very first independent wrestling show I saw, it was it was a company that I started wrestling for, but I saw a very young Kenny Omega.
Wow.
And it's crazy because you can tell how athletic he was. You can tell how much he stood out, because he was, I mean, obviously I'm a smaller guy. He was a smaller guy. So he was quicker. He was, just more, he just had more spring, right? But then you kind of see what he became, and it's just like, my God, like, like, what an amazing evolution. And just to say that, in 2002, I saw Kenny Omega live, but then in 2023, I saw him live, and it was a complete night and day.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny that you bring up Kenny Omega, because he is the most clipped wrestler I get from non-wrestling fans. So his reach to me is just, it's far.
Well, he is, like, that's the thing. Like, I might not be the world's biggest Kenny Omega fan, but it's hard to argue the fact that when he does stuff, like, it just looks fluid. Like, he may look a little unorthodox with a couple things he does, but everything he does looks good, and it looks. It's very much that if you went and saw, like, a live action theater, like, of pro wrestling, Kenny Omega would be the star all the time. And I don't
like
say
a Broadway show,
and I don't
wrestling.
I don't mean that disrespectful, but like, he just looks pretty when he wrestles, and that almost doesn't, like, not everybody can make things look that pretty. Like, Randy Orton is a rare person. Kenny Omega is a rare person. So now that's kind of,
but that's the completion of the what do you call it, where the similarities between, like, how they say wrestling as a ballet. To me, Kenny Omega, Randy Orton, Jericho in his prime, Austin, The Rock, all those guys were able, like what you said, they made.
I'd even put Shawn Michaels in that category.
Yeah, most definitely. I would put him probably at the top of that category.
Even Ric Flair too.
They were able to make these simple movements in a ring look so crisp, so clean, so polished, that it was an art. It was beauty. It was. I agree with you 100% on that. I like what you said there.
I don't know. It's just, it also goes back, like, and obviously, like, I never made it anywhere in the sense of wrestling, in the terms of, like, major companies, but, like, in the sense of just independent things. Like, you see a lot of good wrestlers. Right now, like, I'm seeing, like, a guy like Mo Jabari, and he's going places all over the place right now. And, like, he's doing such a great thing. I'm very fortunate to know a guy by the name of Kyle Sebastian, who, in his earlier stage, got to do a couple tours with Pro Wrestling Noah. I mean, that's just really cool.
That's awesome.
But just be able to have those experiences. And then obviously there's other people that's had, like, like, whether it's like a Michael Richards Blades, who did, like, some stuff with WWE. He was the small guy that got beat up by Braun Strowman. He did some stuff in NXT. Like, I think he did some with Hideo Itami, I want to say. I could be wrong, but I mean, you just never know sometimes.
No, you don't.
And then that's just a crazy thing. Like, I remember Victor from the Ascension was just, a pluck from the British Columbia independent scene. And then you just see kind of the, the fame he did. And he was able to take control of that Ascension tag team and more or less kind of make something out of it. But
no, he really did. And I mean, I got friends that that I I talked to at one indie show, and then all of a sudden I'm getting a message from them and they're doing the security spot in a WWE thing. And I'm going to say his name now because the
Yeah.
dude is phenomenal, big time. Savion Truitt. Check
Okay.
him out. This dude, he just this past year, I interviewed him towards the beginning of the year, and he was on his first round of the European tour.
Yeah.
So he did that. And then after that, he went down to Puerto Rico. He's been in Vegas doing some big time things. But the dude, he gets it. It's like from when I first seen him at an indie show to seeing him now and watching his videos, it's night and day. His progression, his on mic work, his just ability to draw me in as a fan. He's reaching those levels, and he's one of them that hit me up and was like, "Hey, I'm doing this security job spot. Watch Raw." And I was like, "There he is, right there. I see him."
Yeah, and if there's anybody in the chat that's like, you know what, hey, I know a guy that I couldn't believe like from day one is now like a player, or if there is somebody now that you're just so passionate about like checking out, let us know, because that's the fun part. Chris Best is coming in saying this is why we watch Raw, and when we see a wrestler beaten up randomly as a security guard or more or less an extra, I try to keep a close eye on who they are, and so we can just see if they're in the WWF or WWE in the future. And that used to be how you got your foot in the door. Like Tommaso Ciampa was, he had to be a lawyer and had to go give out a live apology to the network because of the character Muhammad Hassan. Even though the character himself wasn't like terrible, it was the real life events that brought the character into that controversial stage. So like it's just insane. And Chris Best is saying, just like CM Punk playing a gangster during Cena's entrance at Mania 22. I was at that Mania, by the way. That was my one and only WrestleMania I went to.
Well, that's a good one to have.
And I was actually on the side of oh yeah, one of the best matches I saw was Trish Stratus, Mickie James, match of the night, not even close.
Really,
those girls tore the house down. And then you had Cena and Triple H, which good match, but let's be honest, we all knew who was winning that match.
Yeah.
And then being in Chicago, of course, and you see CM Punk, even then they were chanting CM Punk. It just wasn't nearly to the loudness that it is now. But
yeah, he's definitely one of a lifetime type.
He has
personalities.
To be, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, he's made a mark of being that. I mean, since his straight edge, long hair indie days, he went out every indie show that he was a part of, and he tried to be the attraction.
Yeah.
And a majority of the time he was. I mean, he really was. But he's interesting right now because he's in the nostalgia age, of like fans like us. Okay. And like I said on the SmackDown watch along that you joined me on with also OMD and Chris Best, like I was saying, he's got to show me something. And if he shows me that he's here to work and make these young guys look awesome, I mean, I honestly would like to see him team up with Johnny Wrestling and Tommaso. Okay. Imagine a CM Punk with them.
Yeah, and kind of relive like, we used to be the Indie Boys, or just
why not?
I mean, I know like in our group chat that we have, I know like I put down a thing, and this is I have to go back and actually do a word from word, or at least look at it, because holy crap, was there a lot of parts to that. But what was funny is later in the day, I actually saw a report saying, oh, they could be going in that direction. I mean, yeah, it was just a a report. So, I mean, who really knows? Because, how many reports said CM Punk wasn't going to be at Survivor Series? And, well,
Yeah.
he was.
There was reports he was never going to step foot in a WWE ring again.
Oh. And okay. And then this is a fun one because we all like to go this or that in terms of context, right? But when you talk about what return was bigger, his WWE return or his return of wrestling when he debuted with AEW? And it's funny because I know you can use the the WWE one probably wouldn't have happened if he doesn't do the AEW, and him coming back to wrestling in general was pretty big. But the reason why that one was so big was also because of his past stint with WWE.
Mm-hmm.
So, in essence, they all kind of work together.
Yeah.
But
you can't have one without the other.
No. But if you were going to flat out compare, I mean, yeah, there could be recency bias. There could be I prefer one company over the other bias. It's hard to say right now because we're only a week in to the return of CM Punk and WWE, so we don't really know what the essential damage or impact he has had with WWE. And yes, I do have to say too, because depending on who you ask, depending on how you perceive it, it's one of those words for his AEW runs. So
yeah, you're 100% right on that. I would have to go with the WWE one. And I would go with not his debut, because his debut was also something that was huge. I mean, it wasn't a small feat for a indie star of that caliber to jump ship and already have a pretty dominant fan base, and not just in their hometown. You know what I mean? CM Punk had a fan base throughout the America. And I can only speak to that portion because I'm not in any other country, so I don't know. But I mean, I remember hearing about him before his debut, a good year before it, and a lot of people were telling me, they're like, dude, this guy, once he gets on the main stage, you just hold on to something because he's going to go. And I watched him, and he did. And his debut was epic. It was goosebumps I got. But, that's me being a fan. And then AEW, when he goes there, another moment where he gave me goosebumps because, again, like you alluded to, if he wouldn't have left WWE the way he did, and then all of a sudden a competitor pops up years later, it makes sense to jump ship and do something like that and get a big reaction as he did. But
not 7.
No. No. And then, I mean, though, you go and look at Survivor Series.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody thought it was done. Everybody. I don't give a shit
which was a Triple H special of what he did in NXT. You never trust the graphic, right?
Yeah.
And then how many people played fool to the graphic?
And I know you could have played over that after CM Punk makes his entrance and everything, right when they're actually ending it. Put that MJF meme up there, you fucking Mark, and he would have had every single human. Like, let's give Triple H an award right now to where he got everybody. There's not a person that was watching that was not gotten.
He is making his theme song so apropos to the way he's booking his company, right? It's all about the game and how you play it.
Exactly.
It's all about control, and if you can take it, he is, to the word, his theme song when it comes to his job description, because he is just in a rhythm and right now that it's not even fair to say who's better, because he is clearly just killing it right now. Just absolutely smoking. And it sucks because you just don't see that on the other company. You want to see it with the other company. It's just right now they're in a transitional phase. I'll say, for a better word. But I mean, the next year of AEW, or even the next 6 months, is going to really shape shift the future of that company, in my opinion. And it really starts with, as you said, MJF. You know, they have to keep that guy.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know. Like, is he a free agent? Is he not? We don't know. We don't have that answer. But what we do know is how important he is to AEW, and AEW cannot afford to lose him.
No, they can't. At least they cannot afford to lose him before they make another MJF.
Yeah. Chris
And
West saying,
yeah,
oh, sorry.
go ahead.
He was saying I was legit getting ready to call it a night on wrestling when that graphic came up.
Oh yeah, I was too. I mean, we were live together, Parrish. You know, and you seen my face. I once
you
I seen
weren't
that,
excited, but
I was
you
not.
knew, you understood the moment though.
I did understand the moment, and I had a good friend of mine, the Bulkster Terry Hans, out there. He was live, and he was telling me, he's like, you don't even understand the electricity that was there. He's like, everybody thought it was done. Everybody thought time to go. Boom, and then he hits. And I mean, bravo to Triple H and all those guys. Setting that up, keeping it quiet. I mean, it's hard to do in this day and age.
Yeah.
And then the fact that they were able to pull that completely over everybody's eyes was something to be applauded, and I enjoyed it.
Taking something that generally is so obvious and using it. Like,
yeah,
I remember the narrative after Monday Night Raw before Survivor Series when they alluded to Randy Orton being the last member in the War Games match. The narrative coming out saying WWE had to do that to silence the CM Punk chants in Chicago.
Yeah.
I remember reposting to a friend of mine saying, I really don't think that's going to stop it. I think Chicago's just one of those towns. If they want to chant CM Punk knowing that he's not going to be there, they're going to chant CM Punk knowing he's not going to be there. But then you have that uttered line from KO, you know, in this around here, if you just keep saying his name, they appear. You know, Beetlejuice
That's true.
reference. And then, but also how ironic and how truthful is that, knowing that all through War Games we were getting CM Punk chats throughout the crowd. Yeah, sometimes they're more defining than others, but eventually it happened. And
they were there though.
Yeah, and boy, did they come unglued. Like, I remember asking, when was the last time in wrestling you saw monster ovations in the span of 15 minutes in completely different situations?
Okay.
Like you did with Randy Orton and CM Punk. It's been a while.
I'll give you one that I seen. It was CM Punk's first time back to Chicago when he was AEW a few years ago during the Thanksgiving special they do now.
Yeah.
The Wednesday before.
Yeah.
They legit, it was the night I was there, and it was the night that Cody got his belt thrown back from the crowd.
Yeah.
When CM Punk came out, they went to commercial break, and throughout that it was a long commercial break, they were still chanting, applauding, and he was taken a bow, and all he did that night was talk. That's it. That's all he did. And he was talking to MJF. So,
yeah,
you know, that was the big moment. And I was torn. Who do I cheer for?
But at that time, that's already almost 3 years in the wrestling scene, and we're talking two different companies. So like, when was the last time WWE had one of those moments? And then, but then also, as you said, like that's almost 3 years just in the major wrestling business, and it's crazy to think that it's been that long, because now we're gearing into a realm where you have just as much main event talent as you ever had, if not even more. Like, back in the 80s when you had Hulk Hogan and he was essentially the only guy, you're looking for villains for him, whether it's King Kong Bundy, whether it's the Iron Sheik, whether it's Sergeant Slaughter. Oh, we got to turn Macho King Randy Savage heel. And we got to put Elizabeth in the storylines to sympathize with Hulk a little here because we're afraid that maybe the fans will choose Randy Savage. Yeah. And
They
then,
would have.
yeah, it's almost, that's why, like, you'd almost think like that is almost the same of why he didn't want to feud with Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Because Bret Hart was absolutely popular back in that time. But, you know, then you transfer over to The Rock and Austin, and people said, well, having two stars is rare. Well, now, okay. You can argue that with Roman Reigns, with Randy Orton, with Cody Rhodes, with Drew McIntyre, now with CM Punk, you have the most amount of like pure main event talent you can have. And I haven't even talked about Gunther or Sami Zayn, who I think entered that mix this year.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with you.
So.
I mean, honestly, what you're saying, it really makes me think of sports in general. And it's like you have the starters. You got those guys. They're already there. They're making the money. But your secondary team, dude, they're monsters and they're just ready. And you can plug and play them any moment you need to because you know they can carry that torch. And they get to also sit back and learn from these guys that are sitting on top. Dude, right now wrestling, and I'm speaking in a general sense of everything. I mean, because even if you break down into the indies, OVW and what they're doing and the veterans they have on their staff, teaching the younger indie guys coming up, dude, wrestling right now, we are in the golden era, and I'm absolutely loving it.
So and that puts me in like two questions now because Cena was on After the Bell, which sadly is no longer around.
Oh, poor Corey.
Yeah, they stopped after 201.
I'm not a Corey Graves fan.
No, I enjoyed the podcast though. But he wasn't even sure what we call this era. He's like, everything has the name of an era. He's like, what do we call this era now? Which is very interesting because what do you call this era? But then on top of that, it's so crazy to think about the wrestling scene now and how big it is. And the crossover is now fun. We have, you know, you can go from WWE to AEW, you can go to AEW to WWE. It's a story talked about thing now, just like the WCW, WWF days.
And then you have your ECW, which is in Impact. I mean, they're still making splashes here and there.
And see, that's the thing. I almost think MLW's creeping into that ECW territory.
You know, I was going to mention MLW, but, you know, I haven't caught a lot of their stuff, so I don't know if they're like their draw.
Maybe better comparison. Maybe you're right. TNA is the ECW, but I would put MLW as a rising early Ring of Honor.
Okay, there we go.
Maybe.
Okay. But I do know MLW is making a splash. I mean,
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
So we have to give them credit.
Yeah, just doing a watch along at their last show, Fightland, and just seeing the swerve they put in with Alexander Hammerstone, that was incredible. When we talk about being fooled or talk about not seeing what's happening, like we were led to believe there's contract disputes. He wanted his release, that it was looking for a very damaging relationship between him and MLW. Only to find out that was all a ploy for him to join Matt Cardona's World Titan Federation at the end of the Alex Kane Jacob Fatu match. Like absolutely crazy. So
that's awesome though.
Yeah,
that a smaller promotion has the ability to do a story like that. I mean, you're a vet of the ring, and like you said, they swerved you.
Yeah. And that's good. Like it's
Mhm.
about it's fun because with the power of the internet and the ability to figure out, you know, uh, what size pimple a wrestler. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
how
I know what
like
you mean.
insane it gets. Just to be able to still get completely baffled and just slapped across the face in like pure shock is amazing and refreshing. It's nothing other than that because that's exactly what you want when you watch a television show. You want to not know what's coming, although you
Yes.
feel that you have the idea, you still don't know. And then when that big thing happens, it leaves you speechless and wanting to watch the next episode. That's the art of
100%.
wrestling is always leaving your audience wanting more. Um,
Yes.
and that's the great thing. Like, and I'll even give AEW like a lot of credit when they did the Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson stuff. Like, sure,
Mhm.
maybe in my opinion, I still think Bryan Danielson coming out after Adam Cole took away from Adam Cole because it's bang bang quick. Um, or maybe you would just pick one and not the other. Because we all knew Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson was coming that night.
Oh, yeah.
The shock was Adam Cole.
Yeah.
But what they didn't do is they really didn't tell us a whole lot. We knew Adam Cole looked like he was picking a side,
Yeah.
going, but like we didn't really know what the next play was. So it made the next episode of Dynamite, the next episode of Rampage, or what their shows were. I honestly don't remember at that timeline. I know they had Dynamite. And
Yeah.
I want to say Rampage was still a thing.
I believe it was. I
And it
don't think
wasn't.
Collision was.
Yeah, yeah, because Collision was more or less essentially done when Punk was with the
That was
company.
what they were trying to keep him with
Yeah,
because he had total control of that show. That was his
yeah,
show. But I mean, I understand him leaving. If you're not happy, why stay in a situation that you're not going to give the best to the people who pay to see you? And I wanna go back real quick.
no
I
doubt.
remember.
You got
Oh
your
yeah,
friend the Buckster.
yeah, the
uh,
Bulkster,
I was at. It's so funny because obviously you hear that you're thinking Hulk Hogan, the Hulkster,
dude.
right?
I'll tell you about it later.
Yeah, but I also like in my days of wrestling, we had a guy who like did like a parody gimmick of Hulk Hogan called Hulk Hollywood. So it's really funny that we both
This
can
is
say
this is trust me, 100%
uh,
a parody.
but he said he was at the arena. I don't think many or people left early, and that's
Yeah.
Chris Van Vliet on his latest one said he actually missed the Punk debut or the return because in Media Row you have to leave to get into the post conference room
Mhm.
right after the last match ends. So when the
Oh,
match ends, they're all leaving. So all the media people, or maybe not all, I know for him for sure because
a
he
majority
said it.
probably.
Yeah, they didn't get to see the CM Punk return. I'm like, oh man, that would just
Yeah,
suck
but
because
that's awesome though. I bet,
yeah,
and I know Triple H knew that too.
yeah, but I
He
also
had
probably
to.
wondered that that's not like a gigantic worry on booking the show.
Mm,
Like you'd have to be booking for the other like 18,000 people, not maybe the 30 that's in Media Row or whatever,
yeah,
I would assume.
yeah.
But I mean, still, like everyone in that media room is still like gigantic fans. And
Oh
like
yeah.
they know that, oh, we didn't get to actually see it, but they
Especially the
heard it.
biggest story
Yeah.
besides the bloodline in the past 10 years. I mean, the man was coming back to the place that he was told
Do you
never,
think that
never
overshadowed
again.
Randy Orton?
Yeah, 100%. But
I will.
here's the thing though.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
No. I'm curious of what you're gonna say.
Here's the thing though. Randy Orton is a talent that can surpass that. I mean, he's already
Yeah,
started Daddy's Home. I mean, you know how many
Daddy's
posts
back.
Daddy's Back.
Back, yeah.
Uh, I mean, come on. He's already taken it and running with it, and he's not one of those guys who's going to let it affect him.
No.
And I mean, he's signing autograph stuff. He's autographing
Yeah.
things on the way to the ring. You can
That's
tell
so
Randy
cool.
Orton's taking his moment, and he's just going to absorb everything because I believe in this last injury, he was really on the fence of it all being taken away from him. And now that we see him back, yes, he came back, and then all of a sudden, after a glorious match that he has, doing an RKO after JD shut.
You know what's crazy though? A year. How long was he gone? Like, okay, I heard a stat that
year and a half.
Last time, like when the last time he wrestled, Gunther wasn't even Intercontinental Champion yet.
Wow.
Naomi and Sasha Banks were just walking out of the company.
That's so crazy to think of in the time. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, just honestly, when Randy Orton he's the caliber of an athlete, the draw of a star power to overcome something like that. I understand why they did it, but yes, to me as a fan, that was the biggest thing that I was looking forward to. I mean, even Ron Killings is back, so
yeah,
you know,
which I gotta put Triple H over for that. Like, we got to talk about the big return of the night. R-Truth is back. Like,
yes, I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I enjoy the stuff he does.
And,
he's a good fun release.
Yeah, and the reason why I almost go closer to the no, and before I do that, I'll go to the Bulkster's comment saying I pulled the same thing back in NXT with the choppy heel turn Arn Gargano, and it was the same way, but made it special. And that's just and we talked earlier about that. You just don't trust the post show graphic anymore, or the end of the show graphic anymore. You just can't. Triple H is like, it's a fool me once, shame on me kind of a thing. Like, you know, that's his signature now. Yeah. But yeah, no, the reason why I don't necessarily think it overshadowed it, like, was it a bigger story? Sure, but it was also the last thing we saw, so it should be the biggest story should be the last thing you see in the show, right?
It makes sense.
Randy Orton at least wrestled, and he got a match, and you got your Randy Orton fix before CM Punk came in. So you got to experience the return. Whereas I'll go back to the Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson, because it was the closest thing we'll probably see to comparison to that. But also, that's the last time I think two people debuted or returned or like whatever in the same night. The last of that stature, I'll say. We didn't get to see a performance, and it was bang bang right after. So it's like, oh my God, Adam Cole's here. And before you can even register that he's back, outside of just your initial reaction, you're already reacting to Bryan Danielson.
Yeah.
And that's kind of maybe where I come from. It's like, at the very least, we got the return.
They gave you the breath in between.
Yeah. And I think that's essentially the difference between the two spots or the two shows.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, that's a great way to put it. That's very well thought out, and it makes a lot of sense. Going off of that, though, what I think's more special about what Triple H did with the Survivor Series, the 3 returns, everybody who returned and how they returned, their specific character, their specific presence fits that return.
Yeah.
It was the best way to bring all of them back. You hit R-Truth in a promo, which he's fucking fantastic in any type of promo you put him in. Then you hit Randy Orton coming back in the War Games match, doing what we want him to do. And then at the very end, they hit you with CM Punk, and he's there doing exactly what he's just there to make a boom, a time bomb, an explosion. And that's all he needed to do was step out, wave, be clean cut. I mean, if you look at CM Punk through the past couple of years, he's not looked any better than just what he did on WWE. He looks healthy. He looks
he looked
ready.
A little jacked too.
Yeah, he looks fit.
Like,
I mean, he looks like he's ready to do whatever they want him to do, and I hope he does, because like we have the Bulkster in the chat, I'm not well, like I told you too, until he makes me believe, I'm not a fan anymore. And that's where I'm standing, because he owes me, and I know this sounds stupid, but in my head, he owes me this great moment. He owes us something of putting up one of these second team guys that we were talking about earlier and giving
So,
them an amazing match.
so kind of in a nutshell, would you kind of say then, because of how the AEW situation unfolded,
hmm
he he owes the fans a positive WWE experience?
Yes,
Okay.
100%. That's just
Um,
where I stand, and that's my
yeah,
personal.
and I hope that's what we get, and I think we will. I think I don't know. I've always thought WWE got really undersold and undercut in the last few years about how structured of a company they are.
Yeah.
There are when you're that big, you have to be structured.
Oh,
You
yeah.
just have to be. And you're almost too structured to where a little bit of chaos is good from here and there. This was one of my biggest gripes with Monday nights. I didn't feel Monday night was Raw anymore, and I was like, I want my Monday nights to be a little bit more Raw. Maybe
No,
you
I
need less lights, but I think right now, all right, I watch Monday Night Raw on Mondays, and it doesn't even feel like 3 hours anymore, and that's the best part. Um, as the Bulksters coming and saying, Josh, we get new CM Punk shirt in the mail. So you were wearing one yesterday. Was that the AEW one that he? Were you not
yeah.
wearing a CM Punk shirt yesterday?
No, I was wearing my household production shirt yesterday.
No.
No, I wasn't wearing my. I actually have my CM Punk shirts in a box over here in my studio. I haven't worn them yet.
I know I have
have
two.
I
I know
have
I
a
have
lot of his
two.
stuff.
I had one from his WWE first run, and then I had the
Mhm.
AEW one just because I bought that one on Hot Topic, and I was like, oh, I want a wrestling shirt. Go
Yeah.
to Hot Topic, and then it's like, yeah, I'm definitely getting a Young Buck shirt, that's for sure. Actually, the one I wanted to get was FTR, but I'm just not a fan of some of their designs. So
Oh,
yeah,
dude, I got a couple FTR shirts. I got the Top Guys one.
yeah.
I love it. I love anything FTR does.
If I could have got like an FTR KO shirt,
hmm
100%. Like
Oh yeah.
one of the shirts that I need to still get is the Monday Night Jericho shirt, but they are so
Oh,
expensive to get. But I
yeah.
need one of those. Like those that like to me is like
Dude, just wait until he comes back.
he ha- he
He's
has to
gonna
come
finish
back
his
for a Hall of
career
Fame,
in
at least a Hall
WWE,
of Fame.
and they'll
That was
bring back the Raw as Jericho.
when I went to the Rumble this year. A friend of mine like really wanted to hear Metalingus one
hmm
more time, right? So I mean, she got that, and she's like, "Well, what's the one that you want to hear?" I'm like, "I need to hear Break the Walls Down one last time, man." Like, just to put things in a nutshell, people, Chris Parrish, Chris Jericho. It's a lot more to what you're thinking now. Yes, that guy was very influential. Shoot, don't you just hate fantasy football sometimes?
Yeah, that's why I don't play it,
Oh my god,
because I could
it's really
understand
tough. No,
the
it sucks when you constantly always make the wrong decision.
yeah. Dude, you
Um,
set yourself up to make wrong decisions in that one.
it's hard. You
Yeah.
overthink it all the time, but no, it's just like I don't know. Jericho was just like I was Shawn Michaels was my guy growing up, right?
hmm
But then when he got hurt, and this was kind of pre-internet, and I didn't know why he left, and I didn't know that he was hurt, and I didn't like you really didn't know any of the backstage dirt at that time. And then we had just gone WCW, and that's when I started watching. NWO was cool, but I kind of put my sights on somebody that wasn't in the NWO. Jericho was like the only heel not in the NWO at the time. And I was
Yeah.
like, and this guy's entertaining. He's getting lost going to the ring. This Goldberg stuff is funny. His just his acts like he had the list before he had the list. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
but essentially it was entertaining. So I gravitated towards him, and then yeah, sure enough, yeah, it became a very big inspiration to me. Essentially, I named myself kind of after him in a way, hence the Chris name. But yeah, and then Bulkster's coming in with a good one of saying top 5 stars from AEW that are originals that you think would fit well in the WWE landscape. And I'll say that before I go to a good friend and a great streamer,
Hey.
Heel Kevin. Well. Where if you want to go and have literally a blast, you go to Heel Kevin's thing. This guy has more energy than Rogue Energy.
Mhm.
In fact, he is so rogue. He's a partner of Rogue Energy as well. So go check Heel Kevin out. He is absolutely fantastic, a great human being, but one of the best streams you'll see.
Yeah.
If you
There's
don't
a
believe
lot
me,
goes on there.
then you don't believe me, but you should because it's true. But Hill Kevin, thanks for coming in and stopping by. I appreciate it, man. How are you? But back to the the Bulksters comment. 5 AEW originals that you think would do well in WWE. And let's have some fun with this. Let's go and take 5 WWE guys that you think would do well in AEW. Maybe
Okay.
let's not add CM Punk to that one though.
Yeah, we'll keep him out of this. I mean, he can.
Yeah.
Huh. That's a good question.
Heel Kevin, you're trying to get kissed on the mouth because this is how you get kissed on the mouth.
Whoa. I'll say this with Heel Kevin, he is one streamer that I just put on his stuff. I don't even try to comment because his fan base is just so much that your comments get lost. I mean, Kevin does a great job of keeping up with them, but there's a lot of people that watch him and he does fantastic work. Check him out, like Parrish said.
We saw on Raw all these reactions about CM Punk, and I see Santy, Mr. Taj, I'm trying to think of who the Wheezy Blonde, right? All the people in the straight shoot here. I'm like, where the hell is Heel Kevin? I just wanted to see Heel Kevin, and I was so mad. And I'm like, come on. He was on the Pat McAfee show though. He cuts too much. You're a great sailor, my friend. A great sailor.
Hey, okay. So before we do this, 5, let me ask you a question. Sure. Where do we fit Swerve Strickland at?
I think we discount anybody who's already done both companies.
Yeah, but his character's so much different. Like he's
I mean, we can honestly say that Swerve was a missed opportunity in WWE. Yes. And if Triple H was where he was now, he would not have made that mistake.
100%. 100%.
And, but I mean, that's going to happen though in wrestling too, right? Like you're going to have like AEW, maybe not hit the ball with Jay Cargill. WWE isn't going to pluck that opportunity. Same thing with
they
Swerve
already are.
With NXT, they let him go. Now AEW is going to absolutely murder it with Swerve Strickland. So he is going to have a 2024 that is to be remembered. He could be the guy that if MJF does leave and they just let him have the rocket, I think they could be okay.
I think they put him and MJF together and they have an amazing 2024 with Swerve getting over.
I mean, they didn't have audio for this, Kevin. I'm just saying. Bulkster saying he thinks he still would have been in Hit Row. Yeah, Top Dollar might still have a job.
Yeah, I agree with who could go? Okay, well, obviously MJF.
Yeah,
I mean he's number one. He could fit in very easily. He could be WWE's next Jericho. If you think about it, if you let him go in there and run his mouth and do his stuff just like Jericho did.
Yeah.
Boom. He's 100% in there. You give him and Gunther first, and you just let those two go at it. And that to me would show the WWE crowd who doesn't know MJF what MJF is about and what he can do for them. So
Yeah.
I think that's where he gets over in that sense.
Before you go with number 2, would a tag team count as 2 or a 1?
I would say it would count as 2 because
Okay.
you got to. I mean, look what you can do. There's so many different
Yeah,
things you can do in a
Yeah.
tag team.
Okay.
Um,
We're not going Spice Girls. 2 doesn't become 1. Okay, gotcha.
so who's your one?
Well, I mean, the obvious one is
Are you
MJF.
okay?
But
you're going
I
on-
mean, I think another one is I think Ricky Starks would be such a pleasant shock in WWE.
Yeah.
But when I say tag team, I was going to go with the Acclaimed.
that was going to be my next pick too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's so much you could do with those guys as a tag team and individually.
Yeah.
I mean, AEW themselves are trying to do stuff individually with the promos and the in-ring stuff.
And then I'll just close out my list with some right there. I think Britt Baker would be phenomenal in WWE.
Dude, yeah. Okay. I like that there. I like all those picks, and I think one that we may be missing out on, and I would just the only way that he would fit is if they had a legit cruiserweight division.
Yeah.
And I would say Hook.
Yeah.
You could send Hook there, and if they had a legit cruiserweight division, maybe not make him a champion right off the bat, but you put him into some situations with like I would say someone who's of a bigger stature, but you put him going against Pretty Deadly in singles competition. And I think just because of the size difference, but yet the move sets and the ability to tell a story, each one from Pretty Deadly is going to be able to give Hook the ability to not have to speak like he does.
Yeah.
Because he can just be like, okay. And then
I would
go
have
at
time
him.
to see Hook go through NXT because I do think Hook would go through NXT first. I want to see him and Ilya Dragunov right away.
Oh, dude, come on.
And
yeah. So okay, let's go to the 5.
Before that, you have 3 though of MJF.
Oh, okay.
Or are you doing MJF, Acclaimed, Hook, and or are you doing?
Well, that would give me my 4 then.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Acclaimed to me, you can split them up, you can put them back together. So my 5th. Oh gosh.
Chris Best is coming into saying Darby Allin would be a good fit for Schism.
I see Chris Best here. This is where I'm debating Darby Allin.
Yeah,
what are you gonna do with him outside of that? Okay, I see the Bulkster saying something too.
Yeah, he says Danhausen or Orange Cassidy would be a mid-card comedy act in WWE, like R-Truth or Alpha Academy. And yeah, like okay,
yeah,
I'll let you finish off that list before we get to the other one because I'm gonna have fun with the next part of this one.
I see where you're coming from on all of those points to Chris Best and the Bulkster, but I don't think WWE would know how to write for any of those guys. I think that would be something that would take a long time to develop, and the WWE fans would lose interest quickly. So with that, I'm going to go. You went Britt Baker, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to go Sky Blue.
Mm-hmm.
I think she could fit into Damage Control, especially the way they're playing her now. And if Sky Blue doesn't tweak your fancy, Julia Hart.
Yeah.
I really think she could go and she could explode something over in the women's division that would be something memorable.
Yeah. All right, now we gotta go. Let's go with that fun WWE to AEW one. As Bulkster coming in and saying, "Oh, Wardlow, yeah, he's another one that I think.
Oh yeah,
I would think he would be more of a Vince McMahon guy than Triple
yeah,
H
he
guy.
definitely would be.
Yeah,
But I think Triple H would know how to position him to make him look
I would say
good.
this: if Wardlow went to WWE, I still think he would have a better career than Braun Strowman.
Braun Strowman has been disappointing for what
Um,
he was built as.
yeah.
I mean, if we're just going to be honest here.
That the thing with Braun Strowman is he had limitations of people he really could work with,
Mm-hmm.
and unfortunately, they had to put him in like tag teams, or they
Yeah,
had to do other things with him that just didn't help him and his progression. Honestly, the breakup of the Wyatt family was too quick,
yeah.
and that was to me that was he was not ready to be on his own yet.
I could have really enjoyed a bloodline type thing with that, where they drew out the Braun Strowman leaving.
Yeah.
I think that would have been really cool.
Um,
Okay, who's your first pick for WWE going over?
going to Gunther.
Dude, I was gonna say that exact same thing for my number one pick.
What
But
I think it's obvious though, isn't it? Like
it
I think
is. To
somebody
me,
like
it
that
is.
that you know is a guarantee like main event guy and could be a champion and he's legit. I mean, Gunther's a future Hall of Famer.
Mhm.
Gunther is probably going to have a bigger 2024 in WWE than he did 2023, which does say something given how prestigious he has made the WWE Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is a guy that all he's been doing in the last 5 years is just have meaningful title runs, and you don't always have to put streaks. You don't have to put, oh, you've had the title for 400 days, even though it's a thing now. But he makes you forget about how long you've had the title because all you're doing is caring about his title reign, and I think that is like he makes the title better, and I think he's the perfect guy for the AEW World Title right now, if you ask me.
No, that's a great pick. And like I said, I was going to pick him, but I'll go with my second number one, and I'm going to say Gable.
Yep.
I think Gable, he could go over there, and just his presence alone is going to give you eyes, and it's going to draw fans. And he has the ability to go. So in AEW, realistically, he's a champion. He could hold the heavyweight championship.
Imagine a clinic between him and Claudio right now.
Oh, get out of here. That would be epic.
Or like put him with like your Kenny Omegas, your now Will Ospreays.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, you're you know what? I want to see Pac and Gable. Oh god. Pac is so criminally undervalued and underused in AEW. That guy should have been a world champion in the first couple of years of AEW.
Yeah. I really don't understand what they're doing with him. Yeah.
But no, second guy, I want to, you know what? I think Bayley would have killed it in AEW.
Oh, her and Julia Hart. And I could imagine them doing a storyline where they have this big matchup between them, and if Bayley loses, she has to join the House of Black and become like a servant to Julia or something like that. Just that whole storyline would be so cool because Bayley would be able to she would be able to really make fans understand why she's so valuable to have on your roster.
Yeah. Like she would get more of the spotlight there. Yeah. Whereas she and maybe this is more WWE long, like they play the long-term game a lot more, I think. But she definitely plays the side act a lot and has.
Yeah.
Even when she is the creator of her own faction. But I mean, that's also a testament with how selfless she is as a
True.
performer.
Very
too.
true.
Like,
Very true.
So,
I would like to see, and I think I like how you want a female. So I'm going to go. I honestly think that if you throw Io Sky over there and you have the women's landscape the way it is now,
yeah,
her in-ring ability would be the thing that the crowd chants wrestling. They would do all the chants too, and her chain wrestling would honestly be a breath of fresh air. And then you put her up against Ruby. I don't know. I think it'd be awesome because then Ruby could show you what she can actually do in a ring.
Yeah.
As opposed to trying to figure out. I mean, her matches in AEW, although are better because she gets more time as opposed to a WWE match, it would just be you would see a lot more of her skills.
Yeah. Chris Best is saying Tiffany Stratton could be great there too. And then Corey Graves in AEW, they'd probably let wrestle. Josh would be hyped.
Do you just come here to troll, Terry? The old Bulkster? I mean, is that your goal?
You can also follow the channel if that isn't your goal. Just I'm gonna put it up. You don't have to, but I mean, I would like it if I'm selfishly saying.
No, actually, the Bulkster in your chats would be. You would like it. He's very knowledgeable.
I welcome. I think you know what. Who doesn't like a good troll every now and then? Every now and then. It's fun. It's just wrestling. It's supposed to be fun anyway.
Very true.
I'll give you number 3 though. I like ribbing Josh. I'm very happy you spelled that properly. Yeah. So I like when I make people snort. I think it's funny. My son.
That's how you know
it's the best. I love it.
That's how you can know, fans. If I find something actually funny, you'll hear a snort.
But one, I think too, like if I look at the product of AEW and I see, okay, there's a lot of Japanese involvement, a lot of hard hitting players. I could like name drop any Japanese, whether it's like the Okadas or whether it's Claudio Castagnoli, who I think, oh God, just put a title on the guy, man. Like just put the title on him. Like, what are you doing? But imagine Ilya Dragunov in AEW with mashing it up with these guys and having some of like these absolute classic strong style type matches.
Yeah.
Like
I think if you did that, you would definitely get a lot more eyes to the New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah.
I mean, just because if you're not an average fan of like going into finding a guy and then going into his catalog of work and seeing that he may have worked over in a Japan circuit, it's a whole different world over there, and it's spectacular. I mean, they made Hulk Hogan look like he could actually go. I mean, some of his old matches back then were things you've never seen him do as a American WWF or WCW. But yeah, I like that pick. I think that's great. And if we're going to go strong style, I mean, come on, Shinsuke. If you put Shinsuke over there, you just have to give him at least one title right off the bat.
You'd almost have to tease the New Japan again with him.
Oh man,
you have to.
Right? Yeah, you would have. Yeah, you would definitely have to. There would have to be something like. If they tell us next year at Wrestle Dream that we have a Shinsuke appearance, I'm going to lose my fucking mind. I will. I don't know where his contract is with the WWE right now. But like you've brought up multiple times, I feel the WWE has hit on him a few times, but then they also drop the ball on him quite often.
I see, like, it's funny because, like, there's part of me that wants to put the Usos as my last two. But the reason why I'm not, and I'm going to say this, I don't think they need to go anywhere else. I think they've already established who they are as a tag team in the one company. And I don't think it's really fair to kind of go that route when I can put somebody else in. And I think if you were to put in the tag team of the grizzled young veterans, you could have an epic tag team battle with FTR.
Yeah. I was just thinking my last pick was going to be a tag team too. And I've mentioned them multiple times here, but I was going to say Pretty Deadly, and exactly because of what you said with the FTR and having, dude, let me tell you this. If you put that group and you and oh man,
imagine them and they claim too. That would be
yes, exactly, dude. Like there's so many options you could have
imagine
with those
Pretty
guys.
Deadly and Hook and Danhausen.
Dude, I'm telling you, there would be the the parts I love about wrestling when it comes to the theatrics and the fun that they have. That whole group you just announced would be awesome. Would be awesome. And you know what? We missed one. I really think Will Ospreay would have a dynamite WWE run.
What, and I don't know if this is true, but I heard one of the reasons, and maybe it's not just one of the reasons. I mean, this is speculation. I don't know if it's true. Not know if it's even accurate. But I heard one of the reasons why he ultimately chose AEW is they're still allowing him to live in England.
That could be it.
But like, I know I thought he was moving to the States, but I'm not. I don't know. I again, like, I don't really know. I just kind of go off a couple reports, and then I kind of, like, if I see them multiple times, then I start thinking there's some traction. But then obviously you got to, like, go and check them, check your source, how accurate are they and whatnot.
I just
really
go directly to their socials.
Yeah. Really, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter why they went there. I mean, it's always interesting to find out the why. But as long as they're happy, people are happy where they are. And I think, honestly, if Will Ospreay wants to continue wrestling the style that he is known for, AEW suits him better anyway.
Yeah,
like, he's gonna change too much in WWE, and maybe he doesn't have to, but he ultimately will, because you just can't work that style 200 days a year.
No, you can't.
And I just look at Ricochet, prime example. You don't see the 6:30 every night. It's just not sustainable. And that's, I think, the biggest difference from working WWE than almost any other company is the schedule. Like, schedule's relentless. But no, Will Ospreay, like, man, he would have done well no matter where he went.
Yeah. But I agree with everything you said on going off of that. But I honestly think he would have a great run, and I think through the years he would learn how to adapt.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I couldn't agree more. Josh, I think, I'm gonna probably say an hour 17, probably good for the first episode.
Hey, I enjoyed myself.
Yeah, I want to take this time just to thank you, and also to say, hey, I might do this a weekly thing. So look closer to my socials. But if I do it again, Josh, you're always welcome.
Awesome.
This graphic is done. Like, your name's on it. I mean, I can edit it, but I can leave it there. I'm cool leaving it. If you tell me that I don't have to do as much work, I'm gonna say okay.
Yeah, I like it. I'm good with it.
I had fun. I appreciate it. I want to just thank everyone who took the time in the chat. I know it's new. I know that you were expecting me and Bobby Munson, the Brunch Brothers. Unfortunately, that is something we're not going to see anymore. I do want to take the time to thank somebody like the Bulkster, who is new to the channel. Appreciate it. Nice to kind of to meet you and hopefully get to see you more down the road. And Heel Kevin, thank you. And obviously Chris Best, who's just one of the most loyal people I know.
Yeah.
But Josh, don't have any like graphics right now, but where can the people find you and what do you have coming up as I see if you have anything?
All right. Well, you can find me on my Twitch channel, The Voice Joshua Joseph. You can find me on Facebook, Joshua Joseph, and Twitter. I am out there also as Joshua Joseph The Voice. You can also find me in your house. I'm doing things all the time. My weekly shows are now the Friday night SmackDown watch along. And just like I've mentioned to you guys before, you guys are more than welcome to always join me there, Parrish, OMD, and Best. And anybody else who wants to join, just hit me up. And I do a Saturday AEW Collision watch along. I have thoroughly become a huge Collision fan. It reminds me of Thunder so much. It brings me back to those days. Last night was a great main event, Eddie Kingston versus Bryan Danielson, and they had an epic, just nasty, beat the hell out of each other match. I appreciate everybody who comes out and checks me out. Hopefully, in the future, I got a couple shows in the works, and Always Sunny in Philadelphia watch along. So hopefully people will be able to join me for that. And other than that, you can just find me anywhere.
Awesome. And again, if you want to find out more about what I'm doing and what I have up next, make sure you're checking out my Twitch at twitch.tv/thechrisparish, my YouTube at Chris Parrish. You can check out my Facebook at Chris Parrish as well as that fan page there. And then also make sure you're hitting my socials up at the X at Chris Parrish, my Instagram at Threads at Chris.Parrish. I'm now on TikTok at Chris Parrish. So I don't know how to use it, so I'm going to need people's help here. This is new. This is basically me stepping out there, people, because I have entered the world of I don't know what I'm doing. So
it's going to be a fantastic journey.
Could be fun. But in the meantime, I want to just thank everyone once again for coming in, because obviously I can't do this without the support of people. So I appreciate it. But in the meantime, I want to say thank you. I want to tell everyone to have fun, be happy, and support your friends. And I'll see you next time. Bye now.